So another fun event is coming, and this time put on by the Ottawa StoryTellers. It's called the Norse Gods Battle, Betrayal and Death. It's happening on Thursday, March 22nd at the National Arts Centre. With us right now is Colette Laplante, a storyteller and a writer with the Ottawa StoryTellers. You have a story to tell. Now, we're not going to have you tell the story right here on the air. We don't want to give anything away. You don't want to do that, right? But can you tell us about the Ottawa StoryTellers? We've had this great organization on the show before. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but what are the Ottawa StoryTellers all about?
Well, we really want to introduce the art of storytelling as it's not just grandpa and grandma telling stories to children. We tell stories to adults, people of all ages, and of subjects of all kinds. So they could be like I'm doing the Norse Gods, mythology. It could be personal stories, things that have happened to me personally, and stories that we write ourselves or that we get from other books.
Pretty in-depth stuff.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
How long have you been a storyteller yourself?
I joined in 2012. I retired from the government in 2011. And Storytellers has different degrees of where you could perform or where you could tell your stories or learn how to tell stories. So I started going to, there was one event they have, it's once a month, the first Thursday of every month, and they get together and it's called SWAP. And there you don't have to be a member, there's no charges, you just go in, you could listen to stories or you could volunteer to tell a story. And it was a really good introduction to it. There was not that fear factor. Everybody rooting for each other and encouraging you, and it was really a great introduction.
And you were hooked ever since?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so on the 22nd, you're going to have the stage at the National Arts Centre. That's pretty cool. You'll be telling stories about the Norse gods. So what about the Norse gods? What will you be talking about?
I'll be telling some of their stories. Now, the Norse god stories are phenomenal, and everybody's taken from their stories and added it to their own, like Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings. If you read any of the Norse stories, you'll recognize them in other people's artwork. I really wanted to tell their stories as they were written or as they were told in the past, and they're just amazing stories. So I've picked some to tell about the main characters that most people know about, Thor, Loki, Odin, and I wanted a story about one of the goddesses. So I did it on Freya, who is the goddess of love.
Ooh, the goddess of love. And Thor, I mean, did they get together in this story, by the way?
No, they don't. No. Thor is married, by the way.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Thor has red hair, not blonde.
Oh,
so I really,
you're correcting the comic books here.
Yes, I'm correcting the comic books. If you've seen the movie Ragnarok, come to my show and I'll tell you what the real Ragnarok was.
Well, it's a good year for redheads, you know.
It is.
I mean, Thor can have red hair, that's fine. Can you tell us what the World Tree is about?
The World Tree, I had a friend make this for me. It's been commissioned by her to make it. In the Norse mythology, their world tree contained all the worlds of the Norse, the different characters, the creatures. They could either be considered worlds, not planets, but realms, or in our case, countries or whatever. And they had a different world for each of their main characters. So there was a world for the giants, a world for the humans, which was called Midgard, which means Middle Earth. And they had a world for the elves, the dark elves, the light elves. They had two worlds for the gods. So this is all connected through the world tree, and the communication and such is all through their tree. Yeah. It's really quite fascinating.
That is fascinating. Okay, so you actually, I know that you're legit because you did some of your research in Iceland for this.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
it was,
so that's a true fan of this stuff.
It is, and they have great museums and galleries there where you could learn more about the Norse gods themselves, but it's also nice to see their young people embracing their own gods of the past, the pagan gods. Some of them are beautifully tattooed with Thor's hammer, and they are erecting a statue to Thor, and they're getting back into the original religion of their time. So the religion, a lot of the stories we read now does have the Christian element, because the stories were never put in writing until about the 1100s.
Okay, wow. Sea monsters and more?
Yes.
Coming to this storytelling show on the 22nd. What other characters will we...
You will meet giants for sure, giants of all shapes and sizes. The gods, the goddesses. You'll meet a fire giant, frost giants. There's ogres that just blend into the rocks. That's where they live. They live right within the rocks.
Wow.
You have dark elves who, dark magic, and then the light elves who are so bright you can hardly see them. They're so bright. So it's just amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, I am quite taken by this because I just think it's exciting. Now I'm guessing this is good for the whole family?
It is, but 12 and up, I would say. Don't
Okay.
bring children, and they're not children's stories. There's a bit of, I wouldn't say gore, but there's a few things that might make you take in your breath.
Well, if there's ice giants, I mean, that sounds pretty,
Yes.
pretty scary stuff. I'd be pretty scared if I was a kid listening to the stories of ice giants and sea monsters.
Yes.
Okay, just over a minute left, but I want to talk about the importance of becoming an Ottawa storyteller. Is it difficult?
No, it's not, and it's an easy enough thing to learn. We have great workshops. You could tell 2-minute stories, 5-minute stories. Often you get it's whatever you're comfortable talking about. So if you're comfortable talking about an experience you had when you're in high school or a dinner you went out with friends, those are stories. And we hear stories all the time, family and friends. So it's not difficult to do. And you just follow your own path. I like doing mythology, I like doing history, and so I follow that path. But some of our tellers tell totally different types of stories. So it's really fascinating, and it's a great entertainment, and it's since the beginning of age, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how we learn. As I said, the Vikings, they learned through their storytelling how to behave and such.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Thursday, March 22nd, National Arts Centre, the Norse Gods, and much more. Thank you very much, Colette Laplante, for being here today.
Thank you.
3-year-old Mason needs a new heart. We've got details next on Rogers.